What is going on right now in the UFC? Paulo Costa has pulled out of his fight against Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 294, and now Kamaru Usman is stepping in on short notice to fight Khamzat Chimaev in the co-main event. Absolutely crazy news. Respect to Kamaru Usman. He was getting ready anyway. There were some rumors that maybe Usman could be the option because he did have a fight coming up, potentially against Belal Muhammad. There was also rumors that he would have been fighting Wonderboy at one point as well. So Usman's been in the gym, and I guess he's put his name in the hat, and it's come up big time. Usman is stepping in to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Dana White just made it official on his Instagram story. If you want proof of this, it's true. Absolutely crazy. This is now a way better card. Absolutely. We get the fight that we were waiting for in the welterweight division for such a long time. Usman versus Chimaev. But now we get it in the middleweight division. I just gave Volk the BMF belt. We're going to have to make two of them. We're going to have to make two BMF belts, and one of them's got to go to Usman. Listen, Usman's got to get credit here, man. This is Khamzat Chimaev you're stepping up against. Usman has everything to lose here. I know you could say, well, he stepped up on short notice. Would he win on full camp and stuff like that? But still, at the end of the day, Usman's career right now is in a position where if he loses this fight to Khamzat Chimaev, he's kind of done, maybe. He's not getting any younger. He's already on a 2-fight losing streak. This could be Usman on a 3-fight losing streak, and he says, who cares? I'm putting it all on the line against a dangerous fighter in Khamzat Chimaev, who's had like a year to prepare for this fight against Paulo Costa, and Usman is stepping in to fight him. Absolutely crazy. We're going to go through how this all went about, and then I'm going to talk about my prediction for Usman versus Chimaev. I do think Chimaev's going to win. I'll get to that in a second, though. So, Paulo Costa was saying on Twitter, 6 hours ago this was, funny how things can change. Paulo Costa was saying, I'm not pulling out of this fight anyway. Let me fight the gourmet Chechen. I am here, Abu Dhabi, all ready and prepared. Now, we have an update 11 minutes ago. Paulo Costa says, I got a Zoom. No idea what that means whatsoever. I got Staphylococcus, which sounds like some kind of dinosaur. Staphylococcus. Absolutely a dinosaur's name. He's got Staphylococcus bacteria inside his elbow, and doctors are pulling him out of the fight. So Paulo Costa wanted to fight. He's got a bacteria inside his elbow because he went through that surgery not that long ago. I guess he didn't equate for that. Or maybe he just wanted to... I feel like Paulo Costa kind of knew he needed that surgery and maybe wanted to play the game of, I'm not the one pulling out of this. The doctors are forcing me out of this fight. Whilst also knowing that the doctors were going to pull him out of that fight. Almost said Paulo him out of that fight. Either way, Paulo Costa's out of the fight. Announced it on Twitter. And then Dana White goes live on Instagram Live and says that Usman's stepping in. Crazy situation. Paulo's got bacteria in his elbow. Usman's in. We saw Gilbert Burns actually post a video on his Instagram, I believe, of Kamaru Usman training for a fight in the gym. He was hitting pads in the cage in their gym, and Gilbert Burns was like, he's getting ready for something, trying to tease us with everything. Kamaru Usman even tweeted out a smirk face emoji twice on his Twitter, and I was like, God, don't tease us with this. Just give us information. If you're stepping in, be the one that's stepping in, and boom, Dana White announces it. This is the craziest turn of events we have had in recent UFC history. What is going on? I'm so much more interested in the card. Just when you thought, oh my God, Yusuf Barboza fight week is getting a bit dead. Boom. We get this. Back to back. Craziness. I like this fight more than the Paulo Costa one. Don't get me wrong. The Paulo Costa one had some real beef. But this one has got some things on the line as well. We were waiting to see this at welterweight. And now we're getting the fight again. Not on ideal circumstances for Usman, although he was in the gym. It's not like Volk, where Volk was saying, you know, I've got some injuries I've got to sort out after the Yair fight, and I'll be back early next year. Like, Volk was putting off the idea of coming back at the end of the year because he wasn't going to be ready. Usman has been looking for a fight. He was looking for one with Wonderboy. He was looking for one with Belal Muhammad as well. That didn't end up happening because Belal said no. Belal's in real trouble now. He's probably going to have to fight Shavkat once Shavkat's done with Wonderboy. Either way, crazy news, crazy situation. Who wins in Usman versus Chimaev? I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is not ideal for Usman. At best, he's getting a flight tonight. Respect beyond belief for Kamaru Usman. Absolute respect for stepping up and taking this fight against Khamzat Chimaev. I feel like Usman, in his mind, after seeing the Burns-Chimaev fight, thinks to himself, that's a really good matchup for me, and I could actually beat him, and I don't think I'm as bad of a matchup for Chimaev as... Well, I don't think I'm as nice of a matchup for Chimaev on Chimaev's side of things compared to other guys in the welterweight division. So I think Usman has had his eyes on Chimaev for quite a bit after that Burns fight, thinking, I could beat this guy. I really could beat this guy, but 3-rounder massively benefits Khamzat Chimaev. Is it going to be 5 rounds? I'm not sure. I don't think that's official yet. We don't really know. 3-rounder does not benefit Usman whatsoever. It benefits Khamzat Chimaev. He's a guy who's known to slow down. He's a very fast starter. He puts on a hell of a pace that you just can't keep up over 5 rounds. So not having to do it for 5 rounds against Usman is a real big factor in this fight, because even if they were to fight at welterweight, let's say Usman did beat Edwards and then Chimaev just got the title shot against Usman, the real factor would be, can Chimaev keep it up for 5 rounds, or can he finish Usman? That would be the question. Now we've got 3 rounds. Massively benefits Chimaev. Also good for Usman because he's taking it on short notice. He doesn't have to go 5 rounds when he's not in peak condition. I mean, he was ready, but he's not ready for a massive fight of this magnitude on such short notice. That's something that we can say. I think Chimaev's going to beat him by KO on the feet, you know. I think Chimaev's going to have all this talk in the build-up about ragdolling Usman. And I think if Usman does fight him, and this does go through, and we end up seeing this, I can see Chimaev just sticking it on him with big power on the feet in the first round. Usman was not looking to move up to middleweight. That's something we can say. Same thing we can say with Volk. Whatever you guys want to say, I've seen Makhachev fans saying Volk wouldn't have taken this if he didn't have a full training camp. This isn't actually an excuse for him. I've seen Makhachev fans coping around all like that, like he wasn't literally saying he needs injuries that need to heal after the Yair fight. Either way, Usman was not ready for 185. All of the fights that we were hearing about Usman taking, Bilal Muhammad, Stephen Thompson, they were all at 170. All of them were at welterweight. And he was literally saying, like, you know, I've got to get a win at welterweight. I want to get back to my belt and all this type of stuff. He's mentioned moving up in the past. But this isn't going to be a peak 185 Usman. He's not going to be used to carrying that weight around. And he is going to have some extra weight on him, for sure. Chimaev has basically known that he's going to be moving up to middleweight for a very long time now. And he has bulked himself up into that division. So even if you thought Khamzat Chimaev would have a size advantage over Usman at 170 anyway, it's just going to be multiplied at 185. And Usman, as much as I respect him for taking this fight, and maybe he does get the win. And you know what? Maybe in a way, short notice Usman might be in better condition for a 3-rounder than a full camp Usman would be for a 5-rounder, because Usman's got so many injuries in his career and his joints are so bad that maybe not going through a massive training camp might be good for him. Maybe he's feeling healthy right now and he's like, right, I'm in shape. I've got cardio. It's only a 3-rounder. I know how to wrestle. I'm not like I'm going to get too much better at that. I'm just not going to have to go through a training camp and risk getting injured and sore and aching and stuff like that. So maybe we see a better version of Usman. However, you can't take down Leon Edwards. Are you taking down Khamzat Chimaev at any point? You know, I mean, you can't knock out Edwards on the feet. Are you knocking out Khamzat Chimaev at any point on the feet? Now, I'm not saying that Chimaev's got better striking defense than Edwards, but what I am saying is Edwards' chin isn't the best. And from what we've seen against Gilbert Burns, although Burns tagged him with massive shots, Chimaev's chin is really good. Really good recovery, really good chin, can take a bunch of big shots on the jaw. I don't know, dude. This is a risky one for Usman. I think he's going to have to win by decision against Khamzat Chimaev in a 3-rounder, and I don't trust him to be able to take Chimaev down, because one thing that you've got to say about these guys from Chechnya and Dagestan, it's not really their takedown defense. It is offense. It is their offense. They're really good at getting takedowns. They're amazing at it. But one thing that doesn't get enough credit is their takedown defense. You can shoot a takedown on these guys at any moment, whether they expect it or not. They will not touch the canvas officially. They do not let that happen. They get back up and they get the whizzer and they just shake you back. They've got really strong hips, really good sprawls. And I think Chimaev will be able to stuff the takedowns of Usman, be too big to be held against a cage. And I see this being either Chimaev shooting offensively on Usman, who's not the same anymore, I'll get to that in a second, or Chimaev maybe having him fearing the takedown, being a massive size advantage guy out there, having that intimidating presence in the cage, and then tagging Usman with an uppercut or a straight right hand. Usman's been KO'd recently by Leon Edwards. Quite a long time ago now, I understand that, but at the same time, you want to talk about Usman in the fight with Leon Edwards in the rematch. He's not the same. And I said this. I literally said it. People were talking about Usman's getting better. I was saying to myself, Usman's fighting worse competition. I was saying that. And then when he fights Covington, all of a sudden Usman's not getting this much better anymore. Masvidal was never elite. Never. Stepped in on short notice to fight Usman. Got his title shot by beating Nate Diaz. I know Edwards did the same as well, but still. Ben Askren, was he really ever that good? Masvidal flying knees him, you know what I mean? Darren Till, in hindsight, was he ever that top? You know what I mean? It was a bit of an asterisk with those Masvidal wins. And people saw him KO Masvidal in the rematch and beat Burns and went, he's amazing. He's so much better than everyone else. And I get that. But I always saw Usman as a guy who was plateauing at the top. Injuries were catching up on him. His movement was getting a little bit worse. Explosivity was getting a little bit worse. His offensive grappling was getting worse, in my opinion, as well. He wasn't able to do much with Masvidal, even when Masvidal took it on short notice, other than hold him up against a cage. Couldn't really get down Covington and keep him there. Didn't want anything to do with the ground game of Gilbert Burns. And couldn't get down Edwards, really. In the first fight, he did when Edwards was gassing out. But it's not like he dominated him on the ground with any kind of jiu-jitsu or ground and pound. He just sort of physically controlled him against a cage with like a body lock while Edwards was sort of on all fours on his knees. It wasn't really dominant grappling like Usman gets mount and beats up Edwards. You know what I mean? It's never been that with Usman. And I don't think he's the same. Watching that Edwards rematch, he's not the same guy. And that was with a full training camp for Edwards. A guy who took his belt from him. A guy who he had to get the belt back from. This was his big moment, or it's no more title shots for Usman. Now he's fighting Chimaev on a week and a half's notice. If the results of the fights next weekend at UFC 294 are Usman wins and Volkanovski wins, this is the greatest sport ever conceived in the world ever. That would be the craziest turn of events. Imagine Usman flatline KOs Chimaev, and then Volk goes out there and chins Makhachev as well. Absolutely crazy that would be. I don't see it happening, no. Chimaev's been bulking up to 185. He's been ready for this. I don't trust it for Usman. I really don't trust it for Usman. He's going to be smaller. He's going to get mogged by Chimaev. I think he's going to fear the takedown more than Chimaev's going to fear the takedown, especially with Chimaev having a full camp. And I think Chimaev's got a bit of a power difference on the feet. Usman might have better straight punches, but Chimaev's aggression and swinging with power and just physicality out there in the cage and presence in the octagon, I think is going to overwhelm that of Usman. And one thing we've seen from Usman, he don't have that same power on the back foot. It's straight punches down the pipe. He's coming forward. His opponent's leaning back at the time and they get caught. If Chimaev backs him up, Usman's not got this like check hook power. I think he may have caught Covington with it in the second fight they have, but typically he doesn't, right? On the back foot, it's not Usman move, sting with a left hook as he gets out into the center again. It's not the same. And moving backwards for Usman is terrible for him, and that's why I've always thought Chimaev is a bad matchup for him. I think Chimaev has a better chance against Usman than Burns, stylistically. What does Usman do off of his back? Very hard to get him there, but what does he do off of his back? Nothing. Does he have power on the back foot with a check hook like Gilbert Burns does? Or an overhand left as he backs up against a cage? No. All of his power comes from straight shots, really. And it's hard to land that on a guy who's just sort of cruising in, sticking his long jab in your face. I feel like Chimaev's going to get him by TKO. And I respect Usman massively for stepping up. I think this is going to be bad for him. But if Usman wins, there's still that beef with Du Plessis. You know what I mean? There's this beef that he has with the middleweight division. I know Adesanya's no longer champ. So now it's like an open field division for Usman. Forget like, you know, we're Nigerian, we want 2 belts in Nigeria. He said Africa first, but then it's Nigeria. I get it. There's none of that anymore. Now it's like, oh, middleweight's open field for Usman. You know what I mean? So if he wins this one, Usman Whitaker for a title shot, you never know what's going to happen. Hopefully Du Plessis gets his shot next, though. We'll see, because he has earned it for TKOing Robert Whitaker and dominating him. Don't know how that's still a discussion. But this could get interesting, and I like it. Haha, Bilal. Nice fight, dude. Nice title shot, dude. Have a good one. Shavkat's waiting after he beats Wonderboy. We'll see how it goes for you, man. Bilal's really fluffed this one up. Basically, him saying no to Usman, which he did recently, has then made the UFC go, all right, well, we'll give Usman to Chimaev then, seeing as he didn't have a fight with Bilal coming up. I reckon the UFC really would have gone, if they would have signed Usman Bilal Muhammad, the UFC would have gone, well, Cannonier, we need you. You know what I mean? Here's some extra pay. We'll give you a title shot if you win guaranteed. Because there's no title shot guaranteed if he fights Roman Dolidze and wins that. Craziness. The world of MMA knows no bounds. But I got Chimaev by KO. Hopefully I've broken that down for you guys very, very well. See you later. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Now maybe the best card in history. This is amped. I reckon this card will now sell a couple of 100,000 more pay-per-view buys because of the last-minute changes. And I'm Team Volkan Usman. I don't think I'd be saying I'm Team Usman, but I kind of am. You got to see him defy the odds. I'm rooting for him big time. See you later. Like and subscribe.